Hello, welcome to Frontiers Health Voices, the podcast where we explore the ideas, innovations, and people shaping the future of health. I'm your host, Kristin Shanley, and today I'm delighted to be joined by someone who has helped define and advance the digital therapeutics and digital mental health landscape over the past decade. Megan is a pharmacist by training, a policy expert by practice, and one of the industry's most respected leaders in digital health. Many of you may know her as the founder and former executive director of the Digital Therapeutics Alliance, where she played a pivotal role in helping establish the global framework for digital therapeutics, bringing together innovators, policymakers, clinicians, and payers to move the field forward. Today, she serves as a vice president of the board of directors for the Society of Digital Mental Health, where she continues to focus on helping health systems and decision makers evaluate, implement, and scale digital health technologies that can make a meaningful difference for patients. Based in Paris, Megan brings a truly global perspective on where digital health is today, and perhaps more importantly, where it's headed next. Megan, welcome to Frontiers Health Voices. It's so wonderful to have you with us.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So always great to see you. So, as I mentioned, you're a pharmacist by training. You've led one of the most influential organizations in digital therapeutics, and now you're helping shape the future of digital mental health. What kind of drew you to this intersection of healthcare, technology, and policy?
I have loved working in the space, and I laughed when you said a decade. A decade seems so long, and it's fun to look back at all that we've accomplished and knowing how much we have to accomplish yet. There's hope in that what we're doing will never get old or boring. But it's been really cool just to see this side of technology and this side of patient care. Back in my pharmacy days, you're working with patients one-on-one and discussing what they were feeling and how their medications were going. But to think about this phase when we're looking at such a global scale of how do we impact care, not even with just one single patient, but across the entire spectrum of patients, it's been fantastic and great and a challenge that really deserves a lot of attention and care. And that's what's been really the core driver, I think, of a lot of this.
Well, I know you've been part of the steering committee of Frontiers Health for many, many years. You've moderated numerous panels, fireside chats, and other at Frontiers, and you launched the Digital Therapeutics Alliance in Berlin. What was it, 2017?
It was
So,
indeed.
so you've really been part of this community for a long time, and thank you for all your contributions. How do you feel your relationship with the conference has evolved over the years, and what keeps bringing you back?
I remember first showing up and very starry-eyed about this big event and wasn't sure where my place was. I didn't know any of the people there really. And it was a perfect introduction and welcome into basically what became a family really quickly. As many may know, Digital Therapeutics Alliance, we founded it in Paris and it was Europe-based and it came from an idea that Pierre Laurent had, and we grew it into something that was meaningful and real, but we didn't launch it really until Frontiers, and it was really cool to do it in that space. And the enthusiastic reception we experienced really set us up for success. We instantaneously started working with investors and other companies and all other people in this ecosystem that wanted to be a part of this and help and support. And that really was an incredible experience to have, as something that was a step for an ecosystem that has made an impact and will continue to make an impact very long term.
Yeah, you mentioned Pierre. I wonder if you could talk about his company and his evolution, right? I mean, like he saw the need to have an organization like this. He was CEO of a startup, and now he was acquired. And it was quite an evolution, which kind of played out on the stages of Frontiers over the years, right? He was every year he was announcing some sort of partnership, uh, right, until ultimately getting acquired by Aptar.
hmm I think it first speaks to the idea of collaboration is really key to everything we did. Within DTA, the common theme was a rising tide raises all boats, lifts all boats, whatever it is. Rising tide, boats, everyone goes up. And that was a really cool thing. I think those first few years were really special in that we saw a need, we saw an opportunity. My background, I have a residency in association management, super nerdy, very applicable,
Mm.
come to find out.
Yeah.
But it was something where we started to realize that we could do something together. And it was obviously pre pre-competitive, but the collaboration during those first few years was something that I will always cherish and would love to see that replicated again. Just that sense of excitement, enthusiasm, and what's around the corner next, and what could take place. It was just such a cool experience.
Yeah, I am grateful that I was able to be a part of it. And you're the first meeting that you had down in DC, bringing together people that were all in these pockets doing this work separately and isolated, and then to have everyone come together, there was really it was a strong community feel. It was a great experience. So one of the initiatives that you helped shape is the Digital Health Policy Summit. And this is a dedicated track that we've established at Frontiers several years ago. Maybe you could talk about like why we created that track. Why did policy deserve to have its own dedicated space?
So at typical conferences I would go to, and for a while I was attending a lot of conferences, which was great. You meet a lot of people, but they tended to be very similar types of individuals. You'd see digital health technology companies, you'd see pharmaceutical company representatives, you'd see investors. And it was really the people who were in those specific ecosystems that were there. But when you wanted to talk with someone who was actually writing policy and developing policy and making policy, you would have to go to where they were, and you would travel to their location and set up a meeting and discuss on behalf of the industry. And it was very great, but it felt revolutionary at the time, whether it was or not, who knows. But to actually be able to invite people who are making policies, who are sitting there trying to figure out what are these technologies, what are they doing, how do I best serve the populations that I'm responsible to, what do I need to know, how do I engage, how do I learn, how do I share. The fact that we could bring these types of individuals together in one place, I remember one of the first policy forums we had felt very much like a diplomatic session. We had people there from Asia and from North America and from Europe and from the Middle East. And it was a really cool opportunity to learn from these individuals, let them see what we were doing, see where our heads were at, see where our motivations were, and be able to throw ideas around and see what they're doing, what works, what hasn't, what could be the next frontier that we search for. All of these things really came together, and it's been a foundation now that I'm really glad that Frontiers Health has continued in its variety of different ways. We have had workshops, we've done all the different options you could have in terms of styles, but every time it's been to meet the needs of the moment. And it's been really great to bring all these disparate groups together that all have a very shared vision purpose, but may not always be in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, and we have a lot of startups that come to Frontiers over the years, and we have a lot of life sciences companies that are partnering with those startups. And but one thing we both know is without the access and reimbursement pathways, it's very hard for a digital therapeutic to scale, right? And of
Is it
course,
ever?
right. And maybe you can talk about, because I know over the years, as things have matured in the landscape, slowly but surely, from a policy perspective, maybe you could talk about, Germany and France, and how they've sort of established some of these access and reimbursement pathways.
Well, in the earlier days, we would celebrate the second someone got a CE mark or a notification from the FDA that they were cleared. And it was a huge deal, and it still is, and will continue to be. But that was our horizon. It was you did your clinical study, you got your clearance, and now the world is your oyster. And we've learned a lot of lessons over the last couple of years. And it's been good to see. It's been hard to see. Not everything has gone as smoothly as people would have initially hoped to begin with. But we've learned and we've been able to see a path through some of these areas. And what we've seen in Germany, Germany is this bastion of excitement from anyone who's outside. And obviously, you speak to people in Germany and they're always like, well, let me tell you. But
Yeah.
it is special. No matter what the foibles are or flaws that could be in this program, it's still a very special time where we've been able to see scale at a national level for digital therapeutics through this program called DIGA, for those who have been in this space for a bit. France has launched its own version, Pecan, and it's had its own challenges also. But again, the ideas are there, the mission is there. Now we're in this fun phase where we need to educate, so much education. Not only are you educating at the level of lawmaker, but then the regulators, and then it's the individuals who are actually just carrying this out on a day-to-day basis. So the more that we can bring these types of voices to our table at Frontiers and into this community, I think the more valuable it'll be overall for us to have this discussion and make sure that we see progress continue to be moved forward, as opposed to just time stamping at different periods of time and saying, well, that was the day or that was the time,
Yeah.
as opposed to we need to keep moving. The mission is still there. How do we do this in a meaningful way?
Right. So, what can people expect this year at the policy summit? Are there specific topic areas that you're going to cover, and how does AI fit into this whole world of policy that you're working in, and will you cover some of that in the policy summit this year?
It would be foolish if we ignored what is definitely the biggest topic of the era. Um, Within this policy forum, it's going to be about a 3 hour session. Again, there's going to be your typical formats where we'll have keynotes, we'll have panels, but we're really looking to also have a session where we bring everyone's voices who's attending to the table. Let's bring this all together. Let's figure out what comes next. So, workshop-esque to some degree, because we want to have actionable outcomes at the end of this. It's good to talk, it's good to convene, it's good to see friends and familiar voices and those that you've seen on LinkedIn in person. That's fantastic. But to really have that ability to connect and really make a real world impact is important. So we will be talking about things such as standards for AI and for digital therapeutics. Let's talk about how we're going to put a lot of this into practice. Let's look at some of the nuances that have emerged over the last year from some of the challenges we've seen. What are the ways to address that? We're going to be looking at the European Health Data Space, and then also, obviously, the topic that has always been there is how do we scale? But every year that topic has to take its own meaning because we keep learning, okay, this is what we've seen, this is what has succeeded. Now let's look at what comes next. So those will be some of the topics. Really, though, one of the more important things to mention too is you have to be in the room to have these discussions. Uh, Day-to-day wins, day-to-day struggles, it's really good to know what's going on. And you can only have those discussions face to face. They're not going to make the headlines all the time. So to have the chance to be with people who are in the fight and who have seen the stories and who have been a part of this, it's really great to see and be able to triangulate what's happening in different locations and see how that will benefit your specific case.
Right, right. And the shared learnings. I mean, I know that this track at Frontiers Health over the years has been packed with people really trying to learn and contribute to moving things forward. And like you said, it's so valuable. I remember even Macron said, we're just going to copy paste what Diga did in Germany.
That was
Right.
adorable, wasn't it?
So, I mean, you have to learn, they were the kind of the spearhead of rolling out these policies in Europe. But it's great to see. And we know that things are happening in Japan, and there's a lot going on in the US too, which I know you cover as well in the policy summit. So we're looking forward to that. It's a can't miss track for sure. So as we think about Berlin in this November, or even after Berlin, like what's one conversation that you believe isn't being had that you wish that people were having?
Maybe taking an angle on this one. I think we have discussions that are real discussions, but at Frontiers Health, I've had some of the more valuable conversations that I've ever had professionally. It's just a chance where you can share what really is taking place, and the environment just is allows for that. So I would love to see people continue to talk about what's really taking place. What are they really seeing? What has been successful? Let's not go into glossy narratives around, oh, the industry is just fill in one word. It's so much more nuanced. It's so much more vibrant, so much messier than all of that. So frontiers for me, the conversations I want to see are the real aspects around, yeah, it's been hard, but here's what we've seen, and here's the thing that we've taken away from it. Or, hey, we've actually seen really good success and here's what that's led to. Or, did you know physician fee schedule? Changes are being made that we had never anticipated, and here's what that means for us. So, things that could sound nerdy or insignificant or whatnot to some are really valuable. And I think it's that overall narrative that really is important for us to grasp onto.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think that is something we hear about from people that have attended Frontiers over the years, that it's those conversations, it's the people that you meet during the networking moments, and where you really shared, it's like a shared experience, a shared community that has been growing together over the years. So thank you so much for joining us, Megan. I look forward to seeing you in Berlin in October, and we'll see you then.
It was lovely seeing you. Talk soon.
Ciao.